Alright, so in this one, we are going to be doing my end of August, because surely next week nothing crazy drops. Mid to end August, top 10 tier list here. I figured this would happen. We had to do another tier list, with it being post the Zenkai Cooler update. And while it is definitely a lower bar that people expected, I mean, people were expecting, I think, like, top 3. Like, they were expecting Kid Buu Zenkai and Cooler, and I mean, I guess we're just in a new era where Zenkais are not going to be that level. I still think Cooler is good. I don't think he's that level. But this is my top 10 list. It is a weird factor to see Ginyu here, an actual purple in the top 10. That's not going to be the lowest spot in the entire list, so that's great. But let's just get into it, with it being number 10 of apeless Vegeta. Now, look, I have fought this unit. I have used this unit. I have done my best of best to make him look good, to fight him and hope he is good, and everything I can in between. And this unit, in every single match I've had within this season, last season, the season prior, so many seasons, he does nothing. This unit doesn't do damage. This unit doesn't tank. By the way, this just shows how low the lower tiers are compared to the top tiers, because I'm going to say every bad thing about him, but he has damage guards, so guess what? He's okay. He doesn't do damage. He doesn't tank. He hardly disrupts, because it's only when your gauge is filled, and then you pop it, which the opponent has to pop, which sometimes you will get it, sometimes you won't get it. When he does combo, it is decently long, but it's just him tickling, and despite all that, he still makes number 10. I think people will have him higher than number 10, but I just don't know the value in apeless Vegeta, besides I'm a body shield, and I exist. Like, you see Ginyu here? Ginyu's above apeless. That's obviously the case, because look at number 10. I'll explain why Ginyu's up there, but to summarize, one can do something, and one doesn't do much, and he just exists. I mean, dude, literally in the Zenkai Cooler video, where I'm trying to see what he can do, he's fighting Fiku, apeless Vegeta, and he's tickling him, physically tickling him, and it's like, that's the only blue you're gonna fight consistently in the game, and he's tickling him, and it's like, who the hell else are we supposed to fight, Mr. Apeless? Who are we supposed to fucking beat down? He was tickling Cooler, frankly. It wasn't as bad as the Fiku tickling, but that's crazy. But he was tickling Cooler. He was not damaging Cooler, and it's like, bro, this was like a red star 10 or 11 stars with like Namek Goku kaio-ken himself, and it's like, dude, come on, like, do something. I don't care if you're a revival, do some damn damage somewhere in your kit. He doesn't do damage. He doesn't. There's no reason you'd ever combo along with him, because guess what? Just go to your kaio-ken, go to your Namek, go to your Frieza, go to your whatever. This doesn't do anything. You just, if you revive, you have to actually have something in your kit that's, like, worth running for. And this guy does not have that. Ginyu does. This guy does not. He is a, not failure, but, like, dude, he's not very good. Like, that's just what that is there. So that's what happens with apeless. I don't know what to hope for this unit. It's just, I don't think he can age well. Like, he just doesn't do anything. You have to tank or do damage. Pick a lane, buddy. Or if you have something niche, then pick that lane. He doesn't have a niche. What's his niche? Comboing? Okay, I could combo with somebody else. They combo longer. Like, what the hell? Just makes nothing. Just makes a nothing factor for himself. Number 9. Oh, brother, we already got to take a sip of coffee, because, I think this tier list is actually going to be, discussed. That's the word. With it being number 9 here of Zenkai Cooler. I do not think this unit is utter shit, like everyone does seem to claim. I have used him a lot. I used him on his normal setup of LOE. I used him on just a random setup with, like, what was it, kefla and Vegeta. I thought he did fine there, our initial usage, and that was even against full 14 stars the entire video. I used him on his best setup of Fiku and Namek Goku, which, it sucks that his best setup is just with a bunch of fucking gorillas, but so be it, right? Screw it. It is what it is. And he looks really, really fine. His whole job is you fight Namek Goku, you pop KO guard, frame 0 the match. I've done that countless times, whether it be high star, low star, whatever. I will do that with Cooler, and Cooler will do his role. The match I'm referring to with apeless Vegeta with Namek Goku on it, Cooler popped KO guard, and then he also popped apeless Vegeta's first life. He's popping the safeties. That's his job. He is a sniper to pop safeties. He actually does work very well with Namek Goku in turn, because within Namek Goku, you do have a nice setting of He has the lock-in. This guy's a sub-count up, so you could plan it and time it. It's not very difficult. I did it multiple times. You have Cooler enter. Namegoku has his gauge, or you do it vice versa, whichever or. Namegoku enters, does his gauge. You go to Cooler, get the snipe potential out. They're basically locked in for 5 counts straight. That's going to be a lot of damage you're just not avoiding. You're not allowed to avoid. Even further than that, you could have it where, let's say you're fighting a Frieza Saga team, you pop the KO guard early because Cooler's job is to do that. Great. You pop Cooler's main ability, you rush. You know, sometimes Krillin's going to be back in, sometimes he's not. Maybe Krillin's already dead, whatever. They have to give up either Namegoku or Frieza because Cooler has endurance null within his main ability, so you can't snipe rush and or just snipe lock in. Again, you do the 5 count lock in thing with Namegoku and Cooler, guess what? It's not going to be a bad thing. It's always going to do great work. It's always going to do great damage. And he works splendidly. The issue that people like to have with this unit is that damage isn't high enough. Well, you can literally fix that. Again, your whole point of his team right now is you're running with Fiku. Fiku gives 40% support at peak. Swap out twice. Boom, you're done. That's it. You just enter a Fiku, swap out. There's your 40% support. People were saying, give him 50% more damage and he'll be top 5. That's what a lot of people have been saying. So you're giving him 40% more damage. That's right there. It's the same. It's basically the same thing. It's 10% less, but it's basically the same thing. He does his job. I haven't really had my Cooler fail. I will say him against kaio-ken, he's going to get on fraud check. Anyone that cancels buffs and or has debuffing arts, he's going to get fraud checked to hell. I've experienced it. It is going to happen. That is what it is. But where he wants to do his damage of his spam strikes and do his strikes and get 3 strikes off guaranteed every single time he enters, I think that's potent. I think that's a good ability. He has health start debuff as well, so they're not going to heal as much as they can usually within a match setting. Krillin is very frail, so if you were to lead with Cooler or lead Fiku and then you go to Cooler because you caught them, okay, you'll get Krillin to like 30%, 20% health, and then you come in one more time and then Krillin's dead. Guess what? KO guards popped. Guess what? You now have free reign to use your Cooler main to snipe. You name it Goku enters. I think Cooler's a fine Zenkai, man. Obviously, the threshold of having them be top 3, top 5, like CMZ and Kid Buu. Even Rev UI was in those top tiers for like a week straight because he was very determinant to the meta. Rev UI, if you don't know, his Zenkai was seen as pretty good just because Hit was really, really strong for that 1 week before Saiyan Saga got its buffs and got its campaign within part 2 or Celebration, whatever. And that's where Rev UI shined because no one else was a safety you were running. Nobody was running a different safety than a Rev UI because apeless didn't exist yet, obviously. And Hit started falling off because these units were good against Hit, right? Kaio-ken, apeless, whatever, Fiku. So Rev UI had like a 1 week pretty goodness. And I think Cooler right now does his job very well. When I run into a Namegoku, I look at him and I think food, 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 food. That's simple as that. KO guard being popped as early as it can be, I think makes somewhat of an impact toward Namegoku's survivability aspects because that is his main draw of why you're going to use him on a lot of your teams. KO guard. And Cooler can just pop, pop, pop. Well, what the hell are you going to do? Your KO guard's popped. Okay, you move on. You have to be aware of Cooler when Cooler's in a match and he's actually not built like absolute dog shit. I know it might sound crazy, but if your unit's built right, they might do something well. And maybe I should take that advice for apeless. But I built him perfect, so I don't know what that is over there, down there, that fucking problem. But I think Cooler's good. I have no dilemma with his Zenkai. Obviously, the expectation for a lot of people was higher than this. I would have been chill with like a solid, you know, he's guaranteed like 7. I wish he was better than this. I don't want him to kill Namegoku. I do want him to hurt Namegoku, which I do think he did, at least a little bit. But it would have been nice if he like... Namegoku's now a 5 unit instead because Cooler was that good. Like if he had like 30% more damage inflicted, Namegoku would probably be like a 5-6 right now. But because he doesn't, he does have some lacking, but I still think he does his role. So that is where he goes at number 9. And then we do have number 8 of actually Captain Ginyu. Yeah, no, this unit is insane. Run that man with Krillin. Very good support unit there. And you are getting, what is it, over 410, 30, something like that. Percent damage inflicted just to start out a match. Mind you, he stacks damage while doing cards. So you're stacking, what is it, 15% or 10% per card. Boom, 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 boom. You get over 500, you get over 600 when you're in Ginyu Goku because you're comboing for a long time. So you have triple card draw speed. Things are going to go your way. Namek Goku, Ginyu Goku, as well as Krillin is a very good trio. Obviously, you could run other stuff, but most likely is the best trio that you can run. on Namek without Ultra Full Power Frieza, so give that an attempt if you haven't. And this is where I kind of make the difference between Revival Vegeta and Revival Ginyu. Again, I just mentioned that he has over 400% damage inflicted. Yeah, so Ginyu hits hard. Ginyu makes some Namek Goku, so I thought, look like they're type neutral fighting him. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Ginyu hits like a monster truck. So his niche is doing damage. I'm not saying he's tanky, but Revival Vegeta is not some tank demon either. Let's not get like twisted here. Like, probably a little bit better defense than Ginyu, but like it's not like 5,000 cards. It's like maybe 3 cards he'll take more. Maybe 2 he'll take more cards than Ginyu. And I would say Rival Vegeta is a better color, but I still think this guy Ginyu, he does a good job, man. I mean, I've not been disappointed by his damage. I'm not disappointed by the lack of the cover null, because you can kind of circumvent it within the Namek Goku lock-in. You use Ginyu for that. A lot of matches have it where it's mostly blast cover changes early games, so you're kind of not caring too much. He's a strike unit, you're going to have strike cards, so you're not going to really deal with that. And further than that, again, he's just simple. He does damage, he revives, and that's it. I mean, it's not a difficult role to do. Again, this 8 through 10 will never be some difficult role aspects of them. Cooler, he does his snipe job. Okay, good job. If he didn't, he would be top 10. Ginyu, he does damage. Okay, cool. If he did more, he'd be higher. If he did less, he'd be lower. Apeless, he does a neither factor of defense or damage, but he's still within the newer era. He's still doing okay stuff within his survivability aspects sometimes with his gauge and all that shit, but he's revival and he's not countered out. If we had a really good, like, if we had a top 5 purple, A+ isn't even in this fucking top 10. He's not even close. I don't know who's here, but it's not A+. That's all I'll say. So, yeah, no, Ginyu, just good damage. Run him on that Krillin team, which I don't know why you wouldn't. That really is just his best outright with no question asked. And then you can see good stuff. If you haven't done it yet, then what are you waiting for to go do it? Just go do it now. So, we move on to a coffee sip, because, oh my god, I am yapping. Into 6/7, and I have it as a dash, which you see here twice, but 3 and 4 as well. I think you can interchange them both, but the way I have them placed is the way I would keep it personally. So, if you want to say 7's better than 6, or 6 better than 7, have your way. Same thing for 3 and 4 up there, which we will get into, obviously, later. With it being 6/7 of Saiyan Saga, Goku, and Krillin. Originally, I did have Krillin a little bit higher. I don't know if I want to say the stock of Krillin goes down here. It's more so, again, I think Cooler makes an impact, so I think the Frieza Saga team gets a little bit of, you know, hurting within Cooler. I'm not saying anything crazy. I moved Krillin 1 slot down, right? It's 1 slot. I didn't move Krillin from top 2 to top 7. You know, I moved him 1 slot, because I do think Cooler has some significance to where if you run that Frieza Saga team, Cooler can just pop you and just kind of decimate you. Now, given Frieza's going to decimate my entire roster. Frieza decimates the entire game. Spoiler, Frieza's one of the best units in the game, if not the best. So that's also a problem, but within the less levity of freeness, I would like to point out, when I fought Namek Saga teams, when I was running the Cooler team, I was having a good time. Comparably to times I've had before, because Cooler was always popping the KO guard fast, if not popping Krillin fast, if not being able to kind of snipe out Frieza from time to time, with Namek Goku sniping him out. I think it's not obviously an answer to the team, but I think it does pretty solid against the team. So Krillin, because of Namek Goku getting a little bit hurt because of Cooler, which again is a fact in everything I've seen, especially experience more than just seen from other people, I think Krillin goes down a little bit because of that. That's not to say anything bad about Krillin. Krillin still does his role. Obviously, you could say with Ginyu getting another, a buff rather, and then Krillin getting another team for that, you could even argue Krillin stays where he is. But I think obviously the best team getting some of impact against itself does have to make one of the units, if not multiple of the units, fall down at least a little bit of ways, right? And then Fiku obviously having another team within Cooler and Namek Goku there, which is very nice. His role is kind of just existent. He does his role well. He's obviously doing it worse than Krillin, because Krillin does give it to specific buffs of Frieza Saga there. Fiku gives generalized support 40%, which is insane to give 40% generalized support, by the way. That is genuinely crazy. And he does that fine. Whether you want to run him on Saiyan Saga, whether you want to run him with, you know, Kaio-ken and then Namek Goku, whether you want to run with Cooler, whether you want to run Ginyu, Fiku, name it Goku, I don't know. Do whatever the hell you want. Name it Goku is versatile, or rather, Fiku is versatile, and so is Name it Goku. So you can run them wherever you want. You don't really lose anything. Obviously, he is best on a Saiyan Saga team. Obviously, that does also coexist with every Saiyan Saga unit, but that's just obvious fact. Doesn't mean that's the best team, right? Because apeless Vegeta on a Saiyan Saga team will be more bulky, but there's just better teams than Saiyan Saga, so what do I care about the Saiyan Saga team? I would say there's quite a few better teams than Saiyan Saga, frankly. But Fiku, his role is simple. He does his role well. That's what we're kind of going for with this new philosophy. I like the premise of it. Obviously, the execution has not been that successful. I think Cooler's execution was successful, Zenkai. I think Metal Coolers was a failure, but I like the idea that they're going for here. The philosophy being simplicity of roles. Cooler is a sniper role. Metal Cooler is a tanking role. He failed, but he's that role. That's his agenda prospect. And I think they're trying their best. I mean, I'm not going to give them too much credit because it's not that difficult to make that notion happen. But, like, I prefer characters having roles than not. And I think the roles of these two is supporting and being a versatile within Fiku and Krillin, giving you the nicety of here's your set 3, and now, you know, here's a proud team you have with the full Ginyu Force. Here's everything you got. Go for it, go crazy. Obviously, Krillin support is better because it's more specific. But I like they're doing support roles, and I think roles are good in a game like this because if units do everything, that's a problem, which the top tiers have some of that, which is a problem. But the units below, I'd be very happy if the top 5 existed and then nothing else above them existed. That would be awesome. But unfortunately, that's not where you are. Number 5, though, with it being Kefla. Kefla does very nice. Kefla's a good damage dealer. It just sucks that Kefla doesn't really have a particular home. If she did, man. If Kefla had a genuine home, I don't want to say she'd be above USV, but like I think she would be at least tied with USV. She would be higher than this. It sucks. Fusion's not having a third. Red Gogeta was an attempt, just a silly, goofy attempt. If they were going to do a real attempt, they would just gave Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks a plat or something. Like, they're going to do a random fusion buff, give the red Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks that gives Cup Pen a buff. Like, that's not, you know what I mean? Like, that was just common sense. They could have just done that. They did Red Gogeta, and it's like, let's not give him anything that's modernized kit-wise. Like, Cooler even has modernized kit stuff within, like, his green card and the Goku Black Covernal and the Dragon Ball Destruction, all that shit. Gogeta got, 4 cards in entry and key. Good luck out there, buddy, old pal. And it's like, you combo 3 cards and you're fucking done. Like, it's so stupid. But Kefla is a very strong unit. She can't overtake a match. I have Kefla low stars, and I've seen it myself where Kefla just destroys matches. I'm like, what the hell just happened here? Like, it's crazy because, again, it's really carried by the element of purple being bad because she doesn't have any neutral unless you're up against like a Goku or some shit, right? And there's only like 10 counts as well on ultimate or something obscure like that. But because that's the case, she really is just shining through, being as high as she is here. It's more impressive than anything that Kefla actually is as good as she is because she's just a simple damage dealer, but her damage just really gets to that extent where it's like, whoa, like Frieza's still better on damage and maybe even comboing, but it's not far off. Kefla to Frieza on like a damage per card and like a damage of how many we can do in a combo. Frieza has the beam, so he's a little bit above, obviously, but they're not far off on like their one-to-one basis of damage, and Frieza just has better disrupt, so that's why Frieza's better, obviously, but Kefla's a real good unit. I don't know if Kefla gets the respect she deserves. I know people understand she's good, but do they actually fight her and feel that understanding? You know, I'm understanding Cooler is where he is because I've used him and he's shown me it. Have people done that with Kefla? I don't know. I feel like there's just a, well, she's a damage dealer that does good damage. She's modern, so we have to put her up here. I wish people fought her more so they could actually like feel that experience. But she's number 5 again. Her only issue is team issue. Obviously, her defenses aren't the most particular thing in the world, but what do you need defenses when you got USV, the best tank in the game, on your team? It doesn't matter, really, especially when he's color covering you, which he is, which you don't need to do right now because there's only one purple here, and frankly, you're not going to run into Mr. Ginyu. Now, before we continue on, this was my original list, right? Here you go. Here's the entire list. Have at it, look at it, laugh at it. I watched it back, I watched this whole video back, and I thought to myself, I don't agree with these points being made about these top few. You can see here, I'm about to change the top view. That's why we're pausing right now, because everything's about to change. And I thought about it. This gotta adjust, this gotta adjust, this gotta adjust. So I think this list is pretty bad. Think about it now in hindsight after watching back this entire video, because sometimes you need to just hear yourself speak the nonsense you speak if it is nonsense, and this was a lot of nonsense. So you could look at that bad list, and then maybe you could see this one as even worse or somewhat better. Who knows? Here's the actual top 4 that I think currently, and I would say this is more accurate. I would hope. Enjoy the rest of the video. So now we get to number 4, and number 4 for me has become Mr. Kaio-ken Goku. Now, this unit has now fallen down from boost, so I do think he is still magnificent and still very good in the game right now. I do notice a lack there of him. While running him on that team that is his best that you would consider of the double ultras and himself, and I'm not saying it's his best individual team, it's just the best team that he can go on, and he goes on usually. And frankly, it's the most frequent team he's run on that I see, and, well, will most likely run myself. He is struggling. It's not doing bad, but he is struggling to do his job that he did as well. I mean, it's very simple math that if you lose damage guard, you will start tanking worse. Now, you combine that with the fact that this unit's going to have some pre-transformed states, and he's going to get a little bit more susceptible to snipes from Frieza, to get really beamed out, and kind of force you to swap out faster. That's a bit of a problem. And on top of that same notion, you go further into the details, if you're struggling to get your gauge, then you're going to have less damage guard, because he gets damage guard on gauge. So, that kind of steamrolls into a factor that he does starts to little bit show lacking, show, I don't know what you'd say, an opening to himself. You know, this guy was a juggernaut doing insane damage, insane defense, and he really just was that guy. Frieza was the only one to do, like, a stop to him because his beams are not pocketing his gauge. But now, it's more so Frieza doesn't even care about his gauge, and yeah, sure, you have to beam around it and still play around it a little, but to the degree you had to, while he was on boost, while he was getting the damage guards more fast and more frequent, I feel you do notice the gap. You're not going to run him on the other teams because they are just inferior. You know, Fiku, Namek Goku, and Saiyan Saga Goku is going to be worse than the double ultras with Kaio-ken Goku, right? Like, that's not going to be a controversial take. Saiyan Saga team is going to be worse than both those teams. So this guy just has to get a little bit of impact done to him. He always is in the top 3 discussions, but I do think that kind of has to mull itself over and change a little bit here. So this is where I move Kaio-ken down to number 4, and then we continue on to number 2/3. Do have them actually interchangeable here, just a little bit audible there. You can see it was separate, but now I thought about it a little bit more, and I like this better as interchangeable, but feel free to put it any way you want. Again, the dash does include interchangeable, so if you have 2 better than 3 or 3 better than 2, I can agree either way, but I feel it is this way on a purposeful extent, where I have it of USV number 2 and Namek Goku number 3. Again, they are interchangeable. Please mind that fact, because it's not just there for fun, it's there for a reason. Why does Namek Goku get a little bit hurt? It's simple. I think Cooler does a good job against him. I've done many matches. You can go watch the long video. You can watch any video I've done on Cooler. I guess maybe other people, but at least my own. You know, Cooler, 5 counts, 10 counts, 15 counts, 20 counts into match. KO guards popped, KO guards popped, KO guards popped. And that's not to take away from Namek Goku's other portions of his kit. He has other good portions of his kit. But to also play devil's advocate here, that is the best portion of his kit. So when the best portions get taken away, while he still has these good portions, what's more valuable to you? I would say to me, KO guard is the main reason he's allowed to be run on so many teams. You know, if he doesn't have that, are you really going to run double ultras with Kaio-ken at that point? Maybe not. You're not feeling as safe and as secure in your damages because you don't have as much levity in your safeties. But because he does have that, okay, sure, you run him on these more quirky teams that he doesn't really necessarily want to be on, but he can fit on. Then you factor in the thought, Cooler can do his job. I've seen it many times. Maybe you've seen it a little bit. Maybe you just don't, want to say it because here's this agenda that's going around of Cooler's bad, Cooler's bad, Cooler's bad. but I've done it many times with Cooler, where you snipe that KO guard out fast, and my Namek Goku that I'm with, you know, if they do it against me or if I do it against them, there's just a worse spot for him. Now my safety's gone. Now they catch me again when I'm using my Namek Goku, that man will die in 2 combos sometimes 3. You pair that with Cooler with a Namek Goku himself, and then there's a 5-count lock-in of sub-count manip and a genuine lock-in. You can't escape. You get that call once against you after your KO guard's already popped because it happened early game. Namek Goku's dead, man. He can obviously do well with his feints and his AoE green and blah, blah, blah. He has great assets, but there's no denying that Cooler is hurting him to at least a decent degree. And when you factor that in, I don't think it's just an outright, oh, he's still number 2, oh, he's number 1, whatever. I think there's something that happens to the character. Not to mention, while kaio-ken is more struggling, he is still a red, and kaio-ken is still a yellow that is not defense neutral as often as his counterpart USV here. So I think there's just some debate to be had of USV and Namek Goku swapping positions. I like it where it's Namek Goku 3rd. If you want to swap that, feel free to do so. Now talk about USV. Defense neutral 10 counts on entry. I don't know what geniuses thought, oh, he's going to be Cooler food. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Namek Goku has no defense neutral until his first gauge is popped. And you have USV who has defense neutral 10 counts every single entry his entire life. Which one's more food? It's common sense, right? So USV is better against both the red units, which is a big factor because those reds are going to be your biggest op, obviously. And USV, I don't know, I think his damage is fine. I think his defense, he is the most defensive unit in the game right now. I would say that easily over kaio-ken, especially after the boost has been gone. So, and actually USV's boost is also gone, but I would still easily give it to USV on the defensive aspects of himself there. And he just does his role pretty well. I think you run him a lot of times with Namek Goku for the KO guard, and then you run maybe Fiku 3rd or Kefla 3rd. Sometimes I've seen kaio-ken Goku 3rd, maybe even full power Frieza. You know, if you could manage the ultra abilities to not be terrible. I've seen every billion 3rd on that team within USV, usually Namek Goku, and then whatever you want. So, well, USV is not the same kit design of, you know, here's this ease of AoE, here's this ease of lock-in. I think the aspect that you care about the most within USV of being that tank, he does his better role of tanking in a consistent basis, from my experience, than Namek Goku does of having that extra levity of extra life, because there's just more going around that can pop Namek Goku fast. I don't think you're ever going to see USV get popped out fast in a match, while Frieza will, obviously, and spoilers, Frieza's number 1. Frieza will do very good against USV. He'll do very good against everybody. I don't know a unit Frieza doesn't do good against in this entire game. Even, let's say, Metal Cooler, for example, who is a purple, Frieza gets his gauge and he has neutral for 3 counts, that man's going to blast through Cooler like he's a fucking blue unit. Like, you can't still do that. So, I think USV has an argument to stay number 2. If you want to swap them, go for that. I will not argue with you. Feel free to do as you like on that spot. I guess you could say, or spots. And then Frieza, he's number 1. You would think because the LOE buffs, he would get like a gap of number 1, but it's a strike-based zenkai. It's a strike-based 1%, and then a strike stat, melee, you know, strike stat, meaning melee stats, higher defense type 3rd unit. So he got no buff. I mean, Red DBS Frieza is a joke. Revs is a joke. LFL Power is a joke. You don't run LOE on LOE. Cooler, you're not going to run on LOE. Cold, I guess you could run him on LOE, but like he probably has better teams than LOE. And Frieza is no different to that. So he stays number 1 because nothing changes within him. He's not off boost. Nothing has gone down. The purples, well, Ginyu is here. It's the bottom tier purples. You're running into the 1 to 4 units, most likely. Obviously 6, 7 from time to time. Number 6, much more than number 7, because Krillin does work with the ultras up there. But, yeah, no, Frieza doesn't change, so nothing really can move down. So, this is my top 10 list, with it being Ultra Full Power Frieza number 1, number 2/3 being Ultra Super Vegeta and Ultra Super Saiyan Namek Goku, number 4 being kaio-ken Goku there, LF, number 5 being Kefla LF here, number 6/7 being Sparking 1% Krillin and Sparking 1% Fiku, number 8 being Sparking 1% Captain Ginyu, and number 9 being a Legends Limited Zenkai Cooler, with number 10 rounding out to be Legends Limited apeless Vegeta. What do you guys think of my top 10 list? I'll see you guys in the next one.